Welcome. I'm Stephanie Jenkins. I'm a philosophy professor and director for the Mockingbird Foundation. We're here to celebrate 25 years of the Mockingbird Foundation supporting music education for children. I'm so excited for today's drum panel. Here today we have Nikki Glaspie, Russ Lawton, and Garrett Morris. We'll be talking about music education, all things drumming, and their philosophies of improvisation. Garrett, Russ, Nikki, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks
for having me.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
How's everyone doing today?
Good. Really
Wonderful.
Good.
Amazing.
So the thing I've really been dying to ask all of you is, like, why the drums? Was there a moment when you just knew that, not just that that was going to be your instrument, but that it was going to be your life and career?
Yeah. Maybe I'll go for whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just feeling it. I mean, I used to go to these parades where I grew up, and the drum and bugle corps used to rehearse right up the street from my house. And just this music was something was moving me, and I didn't know what the heck it was when you're 8 years old. Like, what the heck's going on, you know? And then so I used to hang up there, and it just, after that, I knew I saved up for a drum set. I knew that was like on the list, you know,
Yeah.
wanted to play. And my cousin played too, and he was just like this amazing rudimental drummer. So I would just go watch him, and it was mainly the emotion part of it too that really got me. That parade coming down the street, just like powerful.
Yeah. Definitely.
You remember how you earned the money for your first kit?
Oh yeah, I had a paper route, and I still have the slip because I would pay them $10 a week. I'd go down to my dad, give him $10 on layaway, and they check it off and stuff. Yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah, for me, I like came out of the womb playing drums. Like when I was 2, I was like pulling, pots and pans out of the cupboard and beating them. And my parents got me like a Rice Krispies drum set, and I mean, literally that was it. I already knew that that's what it was. I had never really imagined that I would become a professional drummer or, musician, just because we always played music in my family and in church, and that was just normal.
Oh, interesting.
So when I decided, oh, I'm gonna, do music, that was kind of even a new concept, or, it just wasn't a concept to be able to be a professional and like make money doing that, because we just did it all the time. That was a part of life. So
Oh, cool.
when I figured out that I could, in fact, help people while playing drums, that changed my trajectory.
That's cool.
Nice. Yeah, for me, my dad always wanted to be a drummer, and so he kind of got me into it at an early age. And I'd bang on pots and pans too and stuff like that. And then eventually, like when I got into middle school, I joined like school band. Even before that, I had like the snare drum and the Mickey Mouse kit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had one of those too.
Target or whatever.
Paper heads and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
I remember my friends coming over and just thrashing my kit and breaking the paper heads, and I was so upset. And, like, that's when I knew, like, I want to do this. I'm more passionate about it than my friends that just come over and
Yeah.
treated it like garbage. And I was like, I really cared about it. I noticed it at that point. So
Yeah, that's interesting.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's.
It's the
Yeah.
funny thing about asking a drummer, like, when did you start playing the instrument? Because you can really just drum on anything.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. I used to get the plastic bowling pins on the windowsill too. And my aunt yelling at me, "Shut up over there!" I'm like, My mother never yelled. She put up on my drumming so much. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's I'm pretty lucky. I was pretty lucky.
likewise.
Band rehearsals and stuff.
As you developed in a drummer, like how did you make the transition from, sort of playing along with other people's music to having like your own style? And like how might you characterize the style that's uniquely you?
Ooh. Okay, I'll go. Always being like in original bands, and just for me too, it was just seeing, like, I've got to see some pretty amazing drummers, like just in my backyard or whatever, people that were incredible. And I realized people can be better than you, but at some point you got to have your own sound or whatever. And then I joined this African band, this Afro fusion band, and I really took it, all the grooves that we were doing and stuff. And I said, this is a little, I don't want to say it was an angle, but it was definitely something that was different than what was going around me in America. And this guy Lofty from this band Osibisa, and by learning those rhythms and the kind of music that he was fusing together, I said, this is a little angle that, or a thing that I can put into my style that I feel. Like I played a terrible shuffle back then, but I could play like some Afrobeat thing pretty good, and it just, it was kind of interesting. It was like, and it was really moving to me too. So I was like, put that in, and I still use it to this day. With all the tab stuff. And that's kind of how I got that gig, because I had that little sliver of that style in my playing. But
yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it's kind of the same for me. Like, I used to play along with records, and then honestly, the more different styles of music that I played, they would start, kind of melding into each other. Not really melding into each other, but coming out in other genres. So my style is like kind of a mix of all of those things. But yeah, you kind of figure out that you need to have a sound, and that you have to, hit the drums a certain way, or but that just that comes with like spending time with the instrument. When it's almost like, when you talk, when you're a baby, you start, yeah, and then you like hear the sound of your voice, and then you figure out how to formulate words and sentences. And it's the same exact thing when you're playing an instrument. You hear other people, that the accent or the tone kind of gets in your head, and you're like, oh, I like how that sounds, and then you like try and emulate that. But it's the same as learning a language or speaking a language, and like learning your own voice.
Yeah, that's really good. That's so true. I like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And for me, it's just years of listening to music, and like Nikki said, like a lot of different styles start to relate after a while, and you can kind of like connect them. And so I was really into like metal and classic rock in high school, and then I got into funk and jazz and blues, and kind of progressed from there. And I've just found all these, like, there's a lot of similar things happening in all these different styles that you can pull from. It's like you can learn one beat and make it work in many different situations.
Yes, definitely.
Yep.
As I've been working on these panels and also just talking to friends who are musicians, I'm finding that kind of a lot of artists are spending more time practicing during the kind of COVID stay-at-home period. What's your practice regimen like? Is there something in particular that you're working on right now?
I'm always working on something, even between writing, because it's kind of, I'm like lucky I play with Ray and Soule Monde. I write beats and stuff, and then I send it to him, and he reacts to it, and he sends it back. We record it, and I'm always working on whatever at time. And I've always had a wake up and practice kind of guy. And with the pandemic, I was like, okay, I'm going to act like I'm 18 again and practice as much as I can. And then maybe pick up the house a little bit before my wife comes home. But But yeah, what'd you do today? You know. But yeah, I just, you know, and Ray and I just put a new album out, and we worked on that in the pandemic. And once we felt safe about being in his barn with masks, we finished it up. But and I've been lucky enough to play on a lot of records. Just people have been recording this year, so I just get in the studio with my mask and stay by my drums. But
yeah,
I was bummed out that everything got canceled, but I was like, this is a perfect opportunity. How many times you have like I just finished a session a couple of days ago, then I got another one this week. So you're always preparing, which is wonderful. But when I wasn't preparing, I was like, okay, I need to work on stuff, you know, put more hours into what I really want to work on or need to.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much like, actually during the quarantine or whatever, I rarely played drums. I actually started playing more guitar and bass because I've always loved the bass. I've been playing the bass since I was like 17 or something, but never constantly, you know, every day relentlessly at it, you know. So I felt like this was a great time to work on bass and guitar and keys and production. So I did the same thing though. I definitely played on a lot of records, which was really cool because I've never been the like tech girl that knows all the programs and, you know, can like record myself and whatever, but I've turned out to become like a pretty decent engineer at this point. You know, I get good sounds in my room, and I know how to get, you know, clean guitars and like clean basses and get some, you know, different types of tones happening. So yeah, I mean, we've always said, man, I'd love to have like a month off or 2 months off so I can just do this thing, you know? And we had it, man. We had
Definitely
so much time, you know? So that's kind of how I spent it. I didn't really, I maybe played drums twice a week or like whenever I was recording. But other than that, I just like had my head in compressors and things like that.
Ah, cool.
Very nice. Yeah, for me, it was, I put a band together.
Nice.
And I started learning more on that end too, like how to record, how to edit video. So I spent a lot of time doing that, mixing
things
audio.
that you need to know.
I think we froze there. What was that?
Oh, I think no, sorry. I was just saying, like, you started doing all the things that like you need to know how to do nowadays to be a musician. Like, you have to edit video. Like, when was that ever a part of being a musician?
Right. Yeah.
Never.
and figure out how to do a live stream.
Yeah, figure that out.
Yeah.
Multi-camera live streams. So yeah, just kind of figuring all that, and then waking up early and practice when I can, and write music. Been doing a lot more of writing lately, which is it's really fun process and exciting. So
yeah, sure is.
You all had very productive pandemics.
Yeah, you have to take advantage. Yeah, it's it.
So in getting ready for today's interview, I went back and read some of your old interviews. And one thing that really stood out to me was, Russ, you were describing your kind of perspective on teaching and drum instruction. And what you said was that your goal is to teach life experiences, right? Not just, reading music out of a book. So I wanted to ask you all if, have you had any life experiences that taught you something or that helped you in other areas of your life through the drums?
Definitely discipline. Because once I figured out the discipline to practice, because I always played the drums, come home from school and just then, all right, I'm done. I'm going to go hang out with my friends. And then after a while, I was like, well, if I, the light bulb went off one partying summer when I was like 18, and it's like, I'm going to start staying home and not going to the, drinking age is 18 then, and then I learned that discipline, and it brought other stuff. So it really, that was like a main thing in my life, keeping my shit together.
Yeah. I mean, same here. Definitely discipline, just like work ethic. You want to be at a certain level, so you have to work to get there. It just doesn't happen overnight, People always see like like how glamorous it is, but they have no idea like how much time and effort and energy and blood, sweat, and tears that goes into doing what we do, so, but drumming in particular, I mean, I know it helped me developmentally, they say on average, I think these are the smartest people. I'm pretty sure I've read that somewhere.
They say that, but
just because we have to use so many parts of our brain to multitask, so we can actually do that in real life. I can have a conversation with 5 people talking to me at the same time, at a show. It's possible.
Yeah, they say the drummers book the gigs, and I'm like, I know Garrett does, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing it now because we have a booking guy, thank God. But when I was younger bands, I was definitely on the phone.
Yeah,
hustling,
Yeah,
somebody's, and it works. I remember meeting a lot of people that way, or just taking bands to the next level or whatever. It's pretty by just doing it.
Yeah, and all those things, plus like keeping a calendar, keeping stuff organized, being able to coordinate rehearsals, shows, gigs.
Yep.
Other musicians, like these are skills that I got through music. And communication is a big part of playing music.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Being able to express yourself and communicate to the other musicians your ideas and the audience.
This conversation is actually a really great segue into thinking about music education. So to get us started there, do you have any memorable moments from your music education or early life as a drummer? Like, for example, is there an instructor or a particular lesson that stands out for you?
Yeah, for me, I studied with this guy, Gene Romer. He used to teach at Berkeley. And just for me, it was like being a self-taught drummer. And just the fact that he said, kid, you can do what you want, but if you hold your stick down here and, just show me little techniques to get the fingers, and you try to do some like shuffle, or it's like, I went from 6 months and within 6 months I was doing shows, and I had to utilize that. And like, wow, even working out of this book, stick controller, just evening out your sound, and then opening your brain to different, styles or Mozambiques and different things that you never really couldn't do on my own, but changed my life. I still keep in touch with him. It's really cool. he comments once in a while, on Facebook. That's what's cool about Facebook. Hey, really swinging. And when I went to him, I couldn't swing. maybe I still can't, but whatever. He likes it. I'm like, all right, I'm getting over with my teacher.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I had a professor at Berkeley. Her name's Angela Mia Botchaman, and she's probably like the greatest teacher that I ever had. But because it went beyond music, it like made me a better musician. Because it's like something that you figure out playing music is that, music is life and life is music. It's like all kind of like one thing. So if you become a better person, you become a better musician, and like vice versa. And she was very instrumental in getting that concept across. And just regular things like, hey, you need a drum rug when you go play a gig. You know, it was like, I never played a gig before. She's like, you can't show up without a rug because then your drums will be slipping and sliding all over the place. And that was probably like the greatest advice, you know, for the first, you know, look, it's like, you don't know that. You have no idea when you like show up somewhere. You don't know if it's going to be wood floors or ceramic tile or like whatever. You know,
That's great.
you got to have a rug. And she was also like, you know, don't play with these people. Like, make sure you get paid. You know, like when you walk in there, you need to get paid before you start setting up your drums. And, you know, so she was definitely made a huge impact on
That's
me.
wonderful.
And in my career. And same thing, like we're still in touch. I saw her day before yesterday, you know, just always. And she was doing the same thing. She was teaching, you know, she's like still just raising some of the greatest drummers. So yeah,
that's great. It's so valuable. It's so cool.
Yeah, I've had a lot of great teachers growing up, but one that stands out was my buddy Brett Cohen, who's actually a guitar player, played phenomenal bass player too. He passed away last year, or about 2 years ago now. But he was like my mentor, and like out of college, he showed me how to get gigs and hit all the open jams, pass your card out, meet, network, and like I learned so much from him. And then he moved to Vegas and became like this Vegas musician, and he gigged like 400 gigs a year. It was like insane. I don't know how he did it. Like 2 gigs a day, 3 gigs a day. Like it was just gnarly. And so I learned a lot from him.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it stays with you.
Russ had mentioned stick control. Are any of you still playing out of stick control or syncopation?
No, but other ones. I do Charlie Wilcoxon, the swing solo book. Because my theory is you got to warm up every day, so might as well warm up with some rudiments or something, you know. Because if I don't warm up, it's all over. It hurts.
Yeah.
But
and I had another great teacher, DeCenzo, who came up with this system inside of the book. You know, like every quarter note is 4/16. So, but it could be like a quarter note is 2/16 on the snare and 2 on the kick drum, and then like an eighth rest is a diddle on the snare. You know, so
that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still working on page 5 and 6 of stick control. I think I'll be stuck there. There's so many ways you can take that page.
Yeah, it's never ending. I know being in LA and the drum shop, and the guy's like, "Yeah, kid, man, you can do the first page of stick control the rest of your life." You know, those crazy like drum shop guys. Like, oh, okay. But yeah, it's funny. After I went through like 3 or 4 like rudiment books. I just sort of didn't think about it. And then somebody gave me Rudimental Ritual by Alan Dawson. And I'm like, I can't do these. And all of a sudden, I was doing it every day. I'm like, note to self, you need to play your rudiments every day, a little, at least to warm up. And wow, what a difference it made, you know. It was pretty cool. So I haven't stopped since then. That was probably about 15 years ago. But
that's awesome.
Makes me feel better that even, professional drummers are still working away at the same page of those books.
It's never ending. It's like that guy. He's one of my mentors. This guy Lofty, from the band OCBC. He goes, "My brother, man, music is a lifetime profession," and I think of him like all the time when I'm now my age, and I played with him years ago, and it's so true. And he said it keeps you young too. Music keeps you young. He always used to say that to me, and he was like my father's age. So I was like, I guess, man, because you look like my, it's amazing.
Yeah. No, it's a beautiful thing, but I think that honestly, you can see it in cats, certain musicians. It's like it's always longing for learning. It's just a thirst for learning, like just wanting to get better all the time. So yeah, we're obsessed. We're like driven by that thing, you know. So I think it does absolutely keep you young, you know,
Yeah, it
because
does.
you're always like trying to challenge yourself, and it keeps your brain sharp.
Yeah, certainly does. I feel very lucky. I want to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And that's why I can play at my house.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So what do you all remember about your first public performance? Like, was it a recital when you were a kid, or, you know, like a straight up gig later on in life?
I was in the drum corps when I was younger. That's my first gigs. So, and we do these competitions on Saturday nights in the summer. And you got these judges walking around knocking off points for you doing a bad rudiment or something, whatever they do. But it was very emotional because we have to do these whole routines and you practice them and practice them. We used to practice in these factory parking lots where I grew up in New Bedford, Mass. And you go out there and you do them. And there again, too, it was like all these very emotional. You do all these routines and stuff. It was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like 10. I think I joined when I was like probably 10 or 11 playing snare drum.
Yeah, I honestly like can't remember like my first performance per se. 'Cause I grew up playing drums in church. So it was just you know, normal, and it wasn't really like a performance as much as it was service, you know,
Right.
to you know, usher in the spirit or whatnot. But one like performance that sticks out to me really is like I was in the 6th grade and my mom came to the recital and she saw me like play snare drum in the concert band, and afterwards she was like, oh my god, like you were so great. She's like, you could beat on anything you want, you could beat on the dashboard. She's like, you could beat on my arm.
That's
And,
wonderful.
yeah, and that was kind of the, you know, I was like, I got the stamp of approval. I mean, but that's the thing is, I'd always played with my mom, but she hadn't seen me in that way before, you know, 'cause she plays keys. So I grew up playing with her in church.
That's awesome.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, I was in a band in middle school too, and I remember we did a couple performances. Like I was on the snare drum, and then I played the bass drum. But the most memorable performance was like when I was a freshman in high school, and I joined a band, like a rock band, and we did a talent show. And I just remember like the big stage, and like, you know, the house was packed. I was like, wow, this is awesome. The backstage, like, you know, the drama chicks were like talking to me. It was cool.
I'm in.
I was in it. Yeah, that was it.
Do you remember the set list?
I remember we did for whom the bell tolls, Metallica.
Oh wow.
I think we did 3 songs. I can't really remember. We may have done an original, and then like I kind of vaguely remember Sweet Home Alabama for some reason.
Gotta have that in there. That's excellent. Oh man.
I love that you all have these kind of early formative memories that were a part of your education, both formal and informal. So I was wondering if maybe for a minute we could pretend that I'm a skeptic, like I'm a politician who's reviewing a budget, or a school administrator who's reviewing an internal budget and thinking about cutting the music program. What kind of argument would you bring forth to defend the importance of music education and keep it there?
Yeah, again, too, it's to me, it's back to the discipline of that, and really opening your mind to you know, within other styles of music, whatever. It's just, you know, makes you a better person. Which course, I know they're thinking science and math or something, but to me, that's, you know, it just made, you know. Go ahead, Gary. Yeah.
I was sorry to interrupt. I was gonna say, like, math is music. So
yeah, exactly. That's true. But I mean more like
it's science as well.
Yeah, it is, but they don't think about it like that though. Because I see that even around here where I live in Vermont, they cut the music programs. They just cut it really, and the sports are getting all the money, But
yeah, I think that I would conduct a study. To be honest, I would conduct a study and see in schools that the music program has been cut, like what the testing is. How are the students performing without music? And I'm 99.9% sure that it's not as well.
Yeah, that's good.
Because it actually has been scientifically proven that people that play music, but also, I mean, listening to music is part of it as well. But if a child listens to music, their brain responds in a certain way that it doesn't without it. Their synapses are connected, and there's actual developmental things that happen a lot quicker if a child is listening to classical music or like any type of music for that matter. But if a child actually plays music, the health benefits are astronomical comparatively. Like I said, there's been lots of studies, so I would just bring data to those people who are like, we don't need music. And I'd be like, well, do you listen to music? What part does music play in your life, in your daily life? Do you get in your car? Do you turn on the radio? Do you listen to music? Walk into a drugstore or a Walmart or anywhere. Is there music playing? Anything like that. When you go to a doctor's office, there's music. There's always music in a lot of public areas. And then I would ask them why they think that is.
That's good.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, because they don't realize. I always say that because I was at this family reunion and somebody, you still play the drums? They're like, they got and I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, I'm thinking like, what do you do when you like turn on your car radio? Somebody's like, what do you guys? You drive around in a van or something? I'm like, it's like, you don't realize how hard it is to get something on the radio. They think you just, so plug it in, it's like,
so
okay. Yeah. I was like, I have to do, well, yeah. You ever been to this venue before? You have to kind of like rub it in their noses a little bit, but I was like, they don't realize what it takes to get that happening.
Seriously.
They don't realize, and I'm not complaining one bit, but they don't understand that song they love on the radio.
That's funny. You still playing music?
You still like I'm some like I did it in high school or something.
Yeah.
I'm like 50 years. Like I was like it's funny.
So funny.
And just to add to everything, I mean, all these great points. Music is a valve of creativity, and it's like a stress reliever, especially if you're a kid and you're getting, it's tough being a kid, with on or whatever, all the pressures of everything. And so I think it's like a self-esteem builder, and it helps you get those things out of you that you need to express.
Yeah, you make friends with that. I still keep in touch with this guitar player. I went to high school in Cape Cod. We texted today. I've known him for since we were in high school, and he's a great player. And we still keep in touch, man. In music, we hung out a lot and did things we shouldn't have done in high school, but we did. But we played a lot of music together. It's cool.
These are fantastic responses that I think would be really effective.
Music is therapy.
Yes.
So, anyone from our audience can now take these ideas back to kind of their communities and advocate for their local music education programs, right? But music is life, it's therapy, it's discipline, it's friendship. And one of the things I really appreciated about Nikki's response is that it was very Socratic and philosophical by throwing the questions back at the critic, right? Did you ever go to prom? Did you get married? Were there bands there? Do you remember what your first dance song was, right?
Yeah.
We mark all our kind of major transitions in life through music. And I guess just for a lot of people, it happens to be in the background. So if we can draw it out, maybe remind people. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche said that life without music would be a mistake. And I suspect that's something that we all can relate to.
Whew. Definitely.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that might not be alive if that were the case. So it's, it, you know, music saved me as I'm sure it saved a lot of people.
I don't know.
We were saved by rock and roll.
I don't know how life would exist without music. Like, you go outside, birds are singing, like, it's just everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's music in nature.
Yeah.
Like,
it certainly is. I get the Baltimore Orioles at my house right now. They come every summer. There's one tree.
Yeah.
I wake up to that. It's like, woo! I'll wake up.
Do you have any advice for young musicians?
Nope. I'm kidding.
Don't do it.
Right?
No. Yeah. Well, if you really want to do it, you're going to do it,
That's it.
Because I remember going to my doctor's, like, for the appointment, he goes, it shows you, right? You don't have a choice, do you? I'm like, nope. But, and you can have it in your life, but it doesn't have to be like that intense too. You can just have it in your life and have a job, and it's not a bad thing too. It's just having it in your life. It depends what you want to do with it. But having it in your life is like really great. And we need people to come out and listen. When you got people that really appreciate what you do, that's a lot. Because we need them too.
Yeah, we do. But that's actually, I've never heard it like that before, but that completely sums it up. If you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it. Like, you don't really have a choice. It's like, we don't have a choice, so
yeah.
I guess the advice is, do you have a choice or do you not?
Yeah.
Like, what do you do with that? I mean, I always say, just for practical advice for someone that is going to do it, I would say just play with everybody. Play any and everything. That is like how I've lived, and I live and die by the sword. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, what are you playing? Punk rock? I got it. Let's go. Reggae? Awesome. Play with everyone, and there's something to learn, everyone, even if it's what not to do. So always pay attention to that. You don't have to necessarily learn from making mistakes. You can watch other people make mistakes. I don't need to try heroin to know that that's a mistake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, there's such a wealth of especially now, like, YouTube is, you could learn anything you want on YouTube. But I think too, like, more than just music is to be a good person, like relationships, because that'll get you a long way.
Certainly will.
If you're a good person and you build relationships and you treat people with respect, I think that goes a long way.
It's probably the most important thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It certainly is, because when you're in you got to hang. You got to keep the hang going with good people.
That's most of tours, the hang. So if you can't hang.
Yeah, so true. But the only other advice I would say too is, some people I see, they take the easy way out. You got to stay creative too. I think some people, you get sucked into some kind of thing to make money, and unless that's what you want to do too. But for me, I refuse to really take that path, you know, try to stay in bands that are writing and being creative. It's harder, but it's much more rewarding to me, at least, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Stay creative. Keep
Yeah.
reaching for different things. Go for it. It's okay to fall on your face. I do all the time.
Me too, man.
Yeah, it's like that's normal, you know. And then like you get up and you do some more killing shit. But you know, you got to figure out like what works and what doesn't work. You know, it happened the other day. I was like, oh shit.
That's excellent. Whoops. Oh,
I like
God.
how so much of your advice translates not just right to the drums, but also to life.
Yeah, the path of least resistance sometimes is, you know, whatever, the Robert Frost thing, you know. I've lived by it. I've done okay, you know. I'm still here.
Yeah. And
I'm
you're
alive.
still doing what you love at like such a high level.
Yeah, thank you, man. Sean. Thank you. Yeah, you too, man. Just both you guys. Yeah, I feel very lucky, but I made the path too. I've been married for many years. I finally own a house out in the woods. I play every day, and it worked. It took a lot longer, but it's all right.
Yeah, I understand.
Russ was talking about creativity, and I was thinking about this in connection to improvisation. When you were an early drummer, like how did you learn how to improvise?
Well, mainly we used to jam. I didn't really think about improvising as much as working on songs, but we'd stretch them out and jam, and things would come out of that. But it wasn't until later that I really worked on that more for me. But at the same time, we were always like, even back with that, I was talking about the guitar player I used to play with. We always would just do like these super long jams. But that was kind of what was happening back then, you know, like rock jams or whatever you want to call it was, you know. We would just open it up, you know. And then the more facility I got, the better I could get at that improving kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah, improving really, I mean, kind of the same thing. It just started for me within the last maybe 6 years of like true improvisation, like writing compositions on the spot, not just like jamming, which are two different things. You know, yeah, we come from the jam band scene, so we can play a song for like 20 minutes, you know, but typically like there's some sort of structure there. There's no structure within the jam, but the actual song itself, you have somewhere to catapult from, right? But like true improvisation is a completely blank slate. Like there is nothing there. So that just really started happening for me recently, and it's incredible. It's one of my favorite things to do because a lot of it's all listening. Like that's all it is, and that's how, you know, if I'm listening, it like kind of informs me of my decision. You know, what I decide to do or how to react. Like it's very reactionary. Improvisationalists that I know of, Helen Gillet and Brian Haas, we've been playing a lot, and they've taught me so much, even just about the art form of it. So it's all still relatively new.
Yeah, I mean, improv, maybe the last 10 years, I really started to dig into it. And, but I remember, you know, growing up in the garage with high school buddies, just jamming like we didn't know what we were doing. We were just playing music and, you know, stretching parts out and just having fun. But yeah, I mean, it's all about listening and answering yes and supporting everybody else while they support you. And it's like, it's a beautiful thing. Like, there's nothing like it. And it could bring you, like, you know, kind of into the now of, like, here I am, and I'm just, when you can stop thinking of what you're going to do or what you're doing, and you're just doing and reacting, like, that's kind of like the goal of where I want to be and what I want to experience. And that's kind of why I play music, just for those moments. It's all about that moment.
Yeah, it is. Eureka moments. I mean, yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry?
I interrupted you.
Oh, no. It's just, I just think about when I was a kid, when I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I would just go in my room every night after dinner and just go play and just, like, lose myself. And that's like Garrett was saying, you just, those moments that you just, it's part of your life. It's like my food. That was my dessert or something every night. Mm-hmm. Or I'd come home from school and I would just play. My neighbor goes, how come you run off the school bus? I'm like, I'm going to go home and play, man. Yep. I would just run home.
That's awesome.
So I remember when I got out of high school, I didn't go to college right away, whatever. But I had a day job. Somebody coming up at 6 o'clock instead of 2:30 or something. Like, wait a minute, man. It's like I got less time to play here. This is cutting into my drumming.
Yep. I was listening to an earlier interview by Nikki, and she says that there's two kinds of music: good music and bad music. So I was wondering if we could think about this in the context of improvisation, right? Like what makes a jam good or bad?
Are the musicians listening?
Yes, exactly.
That's it.
Yeah, yeah, because sometimes you get it all of a sudden. Okay, here we go. Somebody's revving up already. I like to be very patient with it and let it evolve. Sometimes people diving right in. It's like, oh, it's hard. It's hard for me.
Yeah, it is. I mean, just like we're sitting here having a conversation, it's the same thing. You can't listen, and like talk constantly at the same time. It doesn't work. And It sounds like that.
Yeah, exactly. Here we go.
I can't answer the question if you are answering the question you just asked me yourself.
Yeah, I find too, like, a lot of musicians they play like their personalities. So
so much, yeah.
You can tell how someone's gonna play before you even hear them play, just by meeting.
Yeah. Totally.
That's funny.
What's the role of the drums in improvisation, right? When you're playing, what's your goal in the jam?
Yeah, I'm just holding it down and see what's going to happen. And I might push it, or if I find a hole, whatever. It just, again, too, just that patience and just, all right, yeah. Put some little thing in there and see if it goes, and it goes back, dynamics and all that, bring it way down. Just keep your ears open and hope, and, take it from there.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, like, we're the bus drivers. So, you start driving and then you turn around and you see, like, can they handle?
Yeah, just it can go so many directions.
Yeah, I mean, and it's. I think I'm there to support what everybody's doing and kind of lift everybody up. Just create a bed, a foundation.
Yeah,
people can, lay down in and be comfortable.
And then you can sort of push it and whatever, not try just organically, but it ain't going to go there. Oh wait, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, you never know.
Flip the bed up, you know.
Exactly.
Going for a ride now.
Yeah. What just happened? That's cool.
Do you have any questions for each other?
I don't know. Yeah. I'm sure I will after we stop today. I'll be like,
yeah, exactly. Me too.
Yeah, I don't know. Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything. I started to know these guys a little bit too, so
yeah,
which is cool.
That's it. Well, Garrett, Russ, Nikki, it was just an honor to talk to you, and a pure thrill to talk about drums and improvisation. So thank you again from the Mockingbird Foundation for supporting the work that we do and at the Mockingbird Sessions event.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
It's an honor.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Never take the stuff lightly. Appreciate it.